Hello, everybody. This is Teresa Graham, Destination Mountaintop. It has been a while, a long while since we've been together. And I am back, and I have a beautiful guest tonight, Miss DeAnna, and I'm going to bring her on in just a moment. I'm not going to do the intro because I could not find the letter to add to the notes to say that I do have the rights, and I don't want this to get uh, flagged on YouTube or by Facebook because they will flag you. So next time I will do the intro. Sorry for the background, but I'm stuck in my pseudo office right now. I'm sharing, I have a housemate right now, my granddaughter Lily. But anyway, we come tonight with a wonderful show for those of you who have family members, friends, loved one in jail, whether it is a long stretch or a short stretch, and they come out and they have to get back into society and get things back going. This is going to help us to make that transition more successful. So I'm going to bring our guests on so that we can get right to it. And she's going to share some wonderful things that we can do, and so a wonderful program that we can be a part of to help those who are in the transition period. Miss Leanne.
Hello there.
Yes, ma'am. So we have Miss Leanne, and I'm going to let her, like I do all my guests, let her introduce herself. Then she's going to tell us some background about herself before she gets into what it is that she does. And I'm going to sit over here and be quiet and let her go on and tell us where she came from and where she's taking us and all about her.
All right. Well, it sounds good. Thank you for having me. I'm DeAnna O'Malley, and I'm from here in Texarkana. I've born and raised here. Started out volunteering when I was about 11 years old in a drug and alcohol treatment facility, starting to work with the young kids doing prevention and intervention. Moved from there to a 911 dispatcher, and kind of bounced back and forth, working for nonprofits. Funding sometimes comes and goes. So when the funding would appear, I would seem to find myself back in the community field. And when the funding left, I kind of went back to a 911 dispatcher. Currently, I am at a nonprofit, and it's called Communities Unlimited, and we're based out of Fayetteville, Arkansas, but we cover 7 different states. So we do a wide range of services to the community. I mean, we kind of we do some small business loans to some entrepreneurs. We do a lot of wastewater and freshwater, just water maintenance issues on a city level. We do GIS mapping, and then we do some community facilitation, economic development stuff. So that's kind of what I do professionally. And then on the side, I just kind of, do whatever I can to help the community where we seem to have some gaps in services.
So you've always, even from a young adult, even a teenager, had the spirit of just being a servant and serving the community and wanting to make your community and the surrounding community a better place.
I think so. I have.
Now, are you married?
I am. We are celebrating 20 years next week. So actually in 9 days.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. We're leaving in a couple of days to go on a cruise for our 20th anniversary.
Perfect.
We have 4 children. We have 5 grandbabies. And they are pretty much all service related too. They're all in the military. I have one son that's an EMT currently. I have a daughter that's getting ready to go to the fire academy. So then I have 2 that were in the Air Force, the Marines, Army, and that's all.
they do what they were brought up around and raised around.
I think so.
Your husband is also in the service field. What does he do?
Yes, he's in law enforcement. He's currently a parole officer for the Arkansas Department of Parole and Probation. So.
And you were telling me a story, but that's going to come later on down about how what you're doing affected his job. And I would like you to share that with us later on. But it's just amazing how, a lot of times when we talk about purpose and destiny, people think that you can only find your purpose and destiny through tragedy, through the
Right.
bad things that happen to you. But no, purpose and destiny, you can find that just by weaving in and out of different, um, like I was telling my granddaughter yesterday, um, if you really want to do this, go to some places and volunteer.
Absolutely.
While you're waiting for school to start, volunteer here, volunteer there. Then you'll see if this is a fit for you.
I
You'll
one
know
million percent agree.
if you're really supposed to go to school for that. This
Yep.
is how we find our fit. This is how
That's
we
right.
find our niche.
That's
And
right.
you're young, you don't have kids. This is what that free time is for.
Absolutely.
Volunteering, uh, going to you volunteer here and that place gets funded. Hey, they hire you.
Absolutely. That's how it works.
You can learn there and then, well, I kind of like this, but we need to fine tune and put this in there. And then you find that you're on your path. And then you find that God connects you with somebody with that same passion. And that is I think we failed to celebrate that. And to, if I'm using the correct words, we fail to celebrate those that take the time to uh, find their niche, to take the time to volunteer, to
Right.
take the time to, um, even if it doesn't work, I tried it.
That's right. And
But
we've had a lot of fails.
I have a lot of fails, but I tried it.
Absolutely.
Those should be celebrated because in
Mhm.
the end, look at you and look at where you are and look at the experience that you had, and then look at how that affected your kids because
Right.
they grew up in a home where they saw you and your husband, even though you had, like you said, this is my professional job. In my free time, I spend it doing this and this and this.
Mhm.
I know I spent a good few minutes on that, but I think that should be celebrated.
Thank you.
So you can go ahead and continue on.
So you want to like continue on with kind of
um,
about the simulator? Or?
yeah. So how did you get interested in working with offenders?
Yeah. So the last year, I've been with my current role just for about 2.5 to 3 months now. So before then, I was a 911 dispatcher. So
Mm,
I've of course, I see a lot, I hear a lot, I understand the system and how it is. We recognize that we kind of see the same names come across our computers a lot.
yeah,
During the calls, you definitely get to points where names and addresses off the top of your head, based off of just past experience. And then at the same time, my husband being a parole officer, we have a lot of the same types of stories and connections because we're dealing, with the same type of people. And,
yeah,
for the most part, it's just, kind of how we say it's just all in a day's work. I mean,
yeah,
they get in trouble, they reoffend after they get out of prison, and it just seems to be, a lifestyle. But there was a couple of different times that my husband would come home and he just seemed to be a little more upset because he just sometimes didn't like the way that the system worked.
yeah,
So, I would talk to him a lot because I kind of understood a little bit, about where he was coming from. Just like I said, dealing with the same, our brains have to work the same way.
mm,
So, I was really able to understand where he was coming from. And my heart has always just been a fixer. Like I just
mm,
want to fix it. And if we may have laws in place to where we can't personally fix it, but I just always kind of thought that there might have been ways to make situations better. So um I just kind of started doing some research to figure out, how can you go about changing a law? Or, I mean, just, what are some programs that some of these offenders could go through to where maybe they won't end back up in prison? And during my role as a 911 dispatcher, I got to talk to some of our inmates that are classified as what's called a 309. So they come out of prison, but they go into the local sheriff's office and they're kind of like their janitors. So I really got to, talk to them a little bit while they were cleaning up our area. One in particular that just kind of told me how it worked for him. He was a wonderful, wonderful person, like when you met him face to face. And it was just so hard to understand how he could have been in prison for, over half of his life, because when you talk to him, he doesn't seem like he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
But he just, would talk to me a lot about how, he would get out and life was really difficult for him. He didn't have family that loved him or, was supported him anymore because he always let them down. And, it just kind of got to where stealing became easier for him because at least he knew that when he was behind the prison walls, he was safe, he was secure, he had food, he didn't have to worry about bills and, stuff like that. So it just kind of stayed in the back of my head for a few years after talking to him. And then one day I just happened to come across the prison reentry simulator and just, kind of started educating myself on that and thought that it was just a really great way to maybe answer some questions and to guide us to be able to do things a little bit different based off of how we can do things personally. So,
yes. It interested me when when I heard you talk about it, and that's why I wanted to bring you on, because I'm a very transparent person, and I have a son that'll be getting out next year, and he's done a 20-year stretch, and I worry about him getting out because I worry about him being institutionalized.
Absolutely.
And that's because even as a teenager, he started going from 12. He started going in and out of juvenile hall, in and out of juvie. And we lived in places like California and Baltimore. So they stayed, when you went, it's not like here where you go and you spend a week or two or a month and you
right.
No, when I moved here, he was still locked up. He was doing like a 3-year juvenile stretch. And when I moved here to Texarkana, they flew him here when he finished his stretch. So at one point I wrote him and I said, "You're my oldest child. You're my only son. But I don't know you. And you don't know me. Because you spent most of your life locked up in prison."
Yeah.
He has nieces, nephews, great nieces, great nephews that he's never laid eyes on.
Goodness.
So right now he doesn't even know if he wants to get out and come here to Texas.
Yeah.
Because even though he has family here that has never forgotten him, that always talks about him, that Uncle Bobby, Uncle Bobby, Uncle Bobby, he feels like he doesn't have anybody.
Yeah.
So I really do understand, what you're talking about. So tell us what this, and it's a lot of people out there like this.
Yeah.
It's a lot of people, and it's not a black thing, it's not a white thing.
No, absolutely
it's not
not.
a Hispanic thing.
Nope.
It's a life thing.
It is.
And then what happens is when people, sometimes the system is set up for you to fail.
1,000,000%.
And when the system is set up for you to fail, we have to start now thinking of things that we can do to fill in those gaps and those holes. We can't save everybody.
Absolutely.
Maybe this program and maybe this simulator can, if it can help one person or two people, that's one who's not going back to jail.
I agree.
So tell us about it.
So it's pretty large undertaking. It takes a lot of volunteers and a lot of people to go through the simulator. It's kind of set up for, your officers, your parole officers, probation officers, just regular police officers, your judges, anybody that's kind of a piece of our system. It's set up for them to actually be the ones who attend. People that have exited out of prison, they can attend, but they've already, they're living it, so there's really no need for them to actually be a participant. It's really something to open up the eyes of us that have never experienced their life. So what we do is everybody comes to a room. We have tables set up, which is pretty much each table represents a different organization that is a part of a reentry in real life. So one of the tables is going to be where a judge would sit. Another table would be for your social security office, your job. One would be your NAAA meetings. One would be a church. One would be your ID. So literally anything that a person that is getting out of prison or even jail, for a long period of time would have to do in order to re-enter into society. So we have volunteers that are manning all of these booths, and the simulator takes about an hour. We take 15 minutes each round, and each 15 minutes simulates a week in the life of an offender. So
let me interrupt you.
Yes.
So actually, us, like the general public, we would be behind the booths, and you want those judges and policemen and stuff.
Yes.
They would be like the prisoners.
Yes.
Going through this.
Yes. People from the general public, when it comes time to the simulator, you can do two different things. You can volunteer just because you're like, I didn't participate in the simulator this last year that we did it. I was just kind of like the one walking around the room, making sure that everything was going okay. But I still learned. I still got to watch it in action. So if a person in the general public that just wants to come to be a part of it, like I said, they can be a part as a volunteer, or they can most definitely, if they are a family member of a loved one that's currently incarcerated, they could come and be a participant to actually see the difficulties that a person is going to have. Yeah. So absolutely. So every person that participates in it, they're going to get a card, a packet when they first walk into the door, and that packet is going to have who they are playing. So it's a big role play. So we have, 50 different people. So, you may be Carlotta and I may be, Iris, just whoever, and every person, they have tasks that they have to complete. So in the first week, if you look at Carlotta's name, it's going to say she has to go to her probation officer. She has to pay. She has to go to an NA meeting. She has to go apply for a job. Well, as you start working down your list of what you have to do for that week, so like what's going to happen is you'll go to the table where your probation officer is, and we have stacks of cards that are laying face down. So you have to flip over a card, and this is what happens during the time that you met with your probation officer. So one of the cards may say that you failed your UA and you're automatically going to go to jail, and that's what will happen. So your probation officer will actually escort you over to the jail that we have, and you're going to have to wait there until somebody comes and bails you out. And in order for somebody to bail you out, each person starts with a different amount of money. So it's another one of those reality things for people to see. My mom only had $50 left for the week, and it cost $50 to bail me out of jail. So now my mom can't buy food for my younger siblings that are at home because my mom's having to take care of me. Everything about it is very realistic. You go and you have to get food. When you go and fill out your job application, they may say, well, you have to have your ID card, and you didn't have an ID. So now you have to go and physically wait in that line at the ID table to get your ID. And then guess what? The week is over. And when next week, when you have to report to your probation officer and he told you you're going to have a job, you're going to have attended 3 NA meetings for, last week. Well, guess what? You don't have a job because you don't have your ID card, and you've already spent a night in jail because you failed a UA. So you're so far behind in life. And sometimes it's definitely your fault. I mean, it's your fault if you fail a drug test. But there's some things like you may have the skills to get a job, but because you don't have ABC on your life list, you have to go and wait in lines. I mean, like for your social security card, for example, you don't get it overnight. You can't just go to the social security office anymore because it may take 7 hours to wait. That's not your fault.
Well, it's not even open anymore right now, is it?
No, I think I heard that they were back open.
They back open now?
But even if it is, the Social Security office has never been an in and out type of place.
No.
So something like that happens a lot in our lives.
Yes.
So, like the whole simulator, you're going to really start to understand that
what they go through.
Like I kind of talked to you about, I don't have those stories that I personally can tell. But I can definitely let you know that, when we talked about our, grandbaby and what happened to him, and that really threw us for a loop, and life just kind of all of a sudden got really hard as we were trying to figure out funeral arrangements, and stuff like that. So I can only imagine what it's like for somebody that might not have the support and the, everything that we have. Life can be easier for some people, but this simulator is very eye-opening. My husband, being on the parole side, was probably one of the most shocked participants at how real life it was, and he realized how hard he, doing the job to the best of his ability, was making it on these offenders, because life is just not easy. Even when you're doing things right, life is just not easy. So
sometimes you can be doing everything right and you're still getting beat up. And that will make you, if you're trying to stay off drugs, it'll make you go back and get on drugs. It'll make you go back and start selling drugs. It will make you go out and trigger you to be that spousal abuser. It will, things would, pressure makes water run uphill. And we have to understand that, but we sit around and for some reason we think that it's okay for us to have pressure, but this set of people, they're not allowed to have pressure. And pressure comes all the way around. And
that is so true.
You're right. We sit up and we, like you say, your grandbaby, but you guys, God bless you, you made it through. But it makes you take things like that make you take a different look at life.
It does.
And it does, when I even with something like COVID and seeing so many people lose loved ones, and even the things that we've been through as a family in this last year, but it's like we look at it and we say, but God is good, because we are here and he gave us the strength to make us, but it's so many don't have that.
That's right. And my husband, like his story on the way it was so during the simulator this last year, we had the pretty much just the Arkansas parole officers from the state that were participants, and something had happened, and one of the tables had kind of got congested, So again, that's kind of like real life. Things got busy, and the person who had ended up it wasn't working in her favor. She is the real life manager or supervisor over the parole officers. And I laughed. We all had such a
Yeah.
fun time, but she was giving her parole officer a hard time because he was not being lenient with her and she had the money. She was just $10 short, something like
Oh,
that.
yeah,
So,
and that's real life.
yeah, so they were going back and forth.
Well,
And,
it's like
and
you can't violate me because I'm $10 short.
that's right.
I
Yes,
have it all, but
yes,
$10. Yeah.
that was kind of what their little bickering
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
in the simulator, which was a real life
In
issue.
real life, though,
Well,
you would violate me for being $10
yes,
short. Yeah.
yes, so after that round was over, the guy who was pretending to be a parole officer at our simulator in real life is on parole himself.
Yeah.
So it was totally flip flopped, and he stood
Yes.
up and he said, "Let me tell you," he goes, "I am currently on parole." And he said, "And this is exactly how I get treated," and he said, "So I'm glad to be on this side of the table now
And
so
treat.
you can see that it's for real."
Yeah.
Well, as he started giving his story, my husband stood up and he said, "You know what?" He goes, "I am that parole officer." He said, "I am that parole officer
Wow.
that doesn't cut any slack, that tells
Wow.
you that you're going to go to 3 AA meetings a week if you don't have a job." And all of a sudden, it really opened his eyes to where, wow, this guy doesn't have transportation. He's having to have his mom take off work 3 times a week to take him to the AA meetings, to take him to fill out job applications, to take him to his drug court. Like it just all of a sudden, even though my husband comes from a great place, he
Yes.
wants these guys to do good, but it
Yes.
just clicked. The light bulb just went off of, oh my gosh, we are a part of that cycle that is
Yeah.
just causing it to be really difficult.
Yeah.
So,
Maybe sometimes I could be a little more lenient.
exactly. And you can, there
Yeah.
are some things that they can do. So to continue on with that, it really got my husband to start thinking about, well, what can he do to be their biggest supporter and not just be that person that has to go by the book, like that. Like, let's see what we can truly do to make it not, we don't, the purpose of the simulator is not to provide handouts to anybody.
Right.
We still believe you did the crime, you do the time,
Yes.
but we have to understand that life is sometimes difficult. That's the biggest takeaway from it.
Yes.
Let's just think a little bit more on the empathetic level.
If
So
maybe if sometimes we can look at each other and think, maybe this can be a success story.
exactly.
Maybe this person I can help get set
Yes.
on the right course to
Yes.
destiny.
So
Instead of
perfect introduction.
Mhm.
So we met some volunteers that were there, manning our tables.
Mhm.
Some of them were from Texarkana College. It's a
Yeah.
group called the Trio, and there was another really big prominent group there that was the Literacy Council. So after it was over, my husband, he's not really a talker. Like he doesn't communicate like in public. He doesn't do any public speaking or anything. And he's not going to go up to anybody and approach them and just start a conversation.
Yeah.
So they approached him and started talking to him, telling him what they did. And he was like, "Oh, well, that's pretty cool." Well, they told him, we can actually come up to the parole office and talk to some of your offenders, if you're interested in that. And this last simulator happened in April of this year. And since April of this year, they've had 3 of their offenders that were registered, and they had FAFSA, like they showed them how to get some funding for their college. So they've had 3 of their offenders registered for college. They've had a couple of them, get their GEDs, and they're working with the
Awesome.
Literacy Council. So, instead of, not saying that AA and NA is not important, because it absolutely is. But really, instead of just kind of, demanding them go get a job, now they're really looking at ways to totally empower, these people to help themselves make changes instead of just doing ABC by the parole book.
Yeah.
So it's just been wonderful.
I think the principle of AA and NA is good.
Yeah.
But what I don't like about AA and NA is that it slaps a person with a title. I
Right.
am an alcoholic.
Right.
And I don't believe you have to walk around with the title just like saying I am a victim or I am a survivor.
Yeah.
No, I'm an overcomer. I'm a victor. I'm all that I can be. No, I'm one that was lost but now I'm found. I'm one that I'm set back on my path and on my destiny. I'm
Yeah.
a real believer in no in words and in names, and that no, that name strips my power. I'm this. I want my
Right.
power. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
I dig what you're saying, and I just think that this is a beautiful thing. What can people do to
Yes.
become involved? How can
Absolutely.
they get in touch?
Yes. So, the easiest ways is, we have a Facebook event page. It's just the prison reentry simulation. They can message there. Um, I mean, I can give my number, my work number is really, it's, I probably would need to give my email address because,
Tell you what, I have your email address. It's the one you
yeah,
gave me. And what I'll do is after we finish, I will
yeah,
put it in the
definitely.
show notes,
Yep.
and anything else, contacts that you want put in there,
Yeah.
addresses,
That
whatever.
would be great.
Just send it to me and I'll
Yeah.
just put it in there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Emails, we have a new phone system, and I just found out when I lost my phone the other day. It was in my car. I just couldn't
yeah.
find which seat it fell between. And I
Mhm.
tried to call my phone. And because of this new system that we have, because it was after 5 o'clock, I wasn't able to call myself. So I don't really like, it doesn't serve me any purpose if I can't talk to people when they need to
Yes,
talk to me. And my
yes,
email address, I keep my email up 24 hours a day. So
yes.
I can get my email really quickly. But in order to be involved, it's really just reaching out, to you, to me, to let us know. And they can even call the Literacy Council, because they're really involved in the planning of it.
Okay.
But we definitely, would love to have volunteers to man the tables, because we need about 20 to 30 volunteers to make it really successful. And then if they just want to participate as a participant, they would go through the same routes of connecting with us, and we would get them enrolled, or, tell them how to get enrolled. The registration is going to come at the first of the year, since the next simulator is not until next April. But definitely the volunteering, and they can volunteer. We have lots of different stuff. Food is going to be served at next year's simulator, so if they want to help that way. If there's people that have community service hours that they have to get, we're also going to be using community service help, just to set the tables up, break down, stuff like that. So we've got a place and a role for everybody.
And you guys might be saying, why are you having this live now?
Right.
Because we're bringing it to you now. We're going to
Yes.
bring you some more. And then we're going to bring you some more because we want you to be hyped up and ready for it.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a question because I think I remember. Isn't there something like this for teenagers? Because I was saying this would be something so great for teenagers to
Yeah.
participate in.
We definitely, it can be geared to teenagers. They actually have a couple different simulators. Like
Yeah.
one is like a homeless simulator. Another one is kind of basically like this, but it focuses on money management. So,
Mm,
instead of you going to NA and AA meetings, it might be that you're going to, like to your teen hangout club for,
mm.
so it can be geared more towards what kids, or I would not say kids, but, 16 to 19 years old,
I
right
think we
before they,
need to.
yeah,
I think we need to talk about the come back and talk about the both of those.
yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
we need to do a separate show or even a separate show and talk about the both of those on that show because
Yeah,
we need to provide everything we can for our young people.
absolutely.
And some things are just not practical, so we
Right.
need to
Yes.
provide some practical things.
Yep.
Um, so you guys, all of these contacts that Miss DeAnna who I keep calling Miss DeAnna.
It's all good.
Y'all know me. I give everybody their own name.
It's all good.
It's the way my brain functions. So
We have 32 D names in my family, so it's very
okay.
seldom that I'm
So
called
look,
Deanna.
when
Yeah,
when I say DeAnna, you just gonna
exactly.
say yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
um, um, let's see, you made me lose betray the thought.
We were talking about
It,
the bringing it around to everybody. Yeah.
all of the information, contact information.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He's gonna give to me literacy count so I can look that up.
yeah.
All of the contact information she's gonna give to me. I got her email and all that stuff. I have my information. Hopefully, I have that, and I'm gonna just put it all in the show notes when we finish this, and you'll be able to go on there and get it and contact either one of us, the Literacy Council, and if you want to be a part of this, be a part of it. I think it's something awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to sit at the table and be the judge because first time I stood before a judge, I didn't know you weren't supposed to cross your arm.
Right.
So I'm standing there and I'm like, but Your Honor, and I didn't think I was being smart. And I had the nerve to go, but Your Honor. I had to sit outside Miller County Courthouse, wait for somebody to bring me $250 for contempt of court.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the next time I went in court, I was like, yes, sir, Your Honor, with my hands behind my back. Said, I see that you learned how to conduct yourself. Yes, sir, I sure did. And I want to apologize for you for the way that I conducted and disrespected you. I had no idea I was doing so, sir.
Yep.
And I learned that you have to respect the office, even if you don't respect what the man or woman is doing. You have to respect the office.
Yeah.
And so I like to be the judge.
Yeah. Well, we can definitely make that happen.
To put somebody in contempt of court.
We can make that happen.
To the jail with you.
The last person that went to jail in April, so the judge was actually not the local manager of the parole office, but she was the regional manager. So she was over like 6 or 7 different offices.
Yeah.
And she was the one that happened to be the judge. And my husband was the one that happened to go to jail last. And he was not not happy at all because he felt the same. I didn't do anything wrong.
I don't care. To the jail with you. To the jail.
He got walked over to the jail and he ended up getting bonded out. And the person that bonded him out was actually the state level director of the parole.
Oh my God. That is a good simulator.
Yes.
For those who work in the system.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
Good simulator for the general public.
Yes.
Because you get to see hands-on. It's wonderful because I know we all talk about we all use this term, they say.
Yes, yes.
They say, but we don't know for sure.
Yep.
So we all go past our days doing things on a rumor mill.
Yep.
Of, well, they said you do it like this, and they said you do it like this, and nobody knows for sure. Yep. Let's find out for sure. Let's find out the process. Let's find out the protocol. Let's find out the answers so we can shut the they says up. Yep. Does that make sense?
Yep.
We live in a nation of they say.
Yep. And nobody knows who they is.
No, nobody knows the they, but they say.
Yep.
I don't give a darn about they say. Let's find out the truth. If you say they say, I say who say. Yep. So I'm going to let you close this out. Tell us anything else you want us to know.
The only thing that just came to mind was, again, it's not just for people who who have people that are currently locked up. Other types of people that we really need at the table are landlords. If you own any property, because housing is a critical issue for people who, have that word felon behind their name.
Yeah.
So landlords, if you own a company, if you're a manager, just, some type of a person in HR that hires people, we really need, them at the table as well, so they could see how hard it is, because a lot of people that are currently incarcerated are extremely knowledgeable. They're highly intelligent. They're very creative. But again, because they have that word felon behind their name, they're not able to get a job. So a lot of stuff like that, that's stuff that is in our power to change. A homeowner that is renting a house has the power to change his thoughts and his minds, and maybe open his housing up to somebody that's had a felony, just by listening to their story, because that's really important. Housing and jobs are really critical. So, we're looking for people like that. And then the other thing is just one other issue that popped up. So we also, talking to my husband, we've learned that sometimes when people on probation or parole have come into the office, and my husband has started talking to them in a different way. He's learned that a lot of them have triggers that they deal with once they exit prison and then come back into their parents' house and stuff like that. So we're also going to be having a session for families of loved ones, so we can really talk in depth to them about triggers and how
that'd be
how
wonderful.
you, as a loved one of somebody that's incarcerated, can help the process as well, because sometimes we demand our kids to not use drugs, and, we demand them to be good, but sometimes just maybe our tone, or, maybe we don't know we demand them to not drink in the house while the parents are sitting
These are
back
grown
drinking.
men and women.
Yeah.
These are grown men and women.
Yeah. So we're going to have a whole private room for
For
families of loved
families.
ones. Mm-hmm.
Oh, that'd be beautiful.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever in the Texarkana or surrounding area held a 1 or 2 day, I don't even know what you would call it. I can't even form the word in my head. Workshop, I don't know, just for felons, where they
I know that the prisons, every April when it's reentry week, they usually have a week. Well, like the federal prison, they do week long classes or presentations. The Arkansas Department of Corrections, they do like a 1 day big health fair type of event, to where everybody that's going to be released probably within the next year, since they only hold it, yearly, they're able to come and to talk one-on-one with a host of people who have resources available for them. So there is something like that available, and probably not in your county jails, but definitely in the state prisons and the federal prisons, they do have reentry. And like I said, it's every week. So we are actually doing our simulator the Friday before reentry week starts.
Okay, so it is a certain. See, I just learned something.
Yeah.
When they're going to release, it's a big release, and it's a certain time of year.
Well, I mean, they may, like, people may get released in September, but what they do is every April, when they do their big reentry projects, so like say April of 2023. So what they're going to do in April of 2023 is they're going to say, okay, anybody that's going to be released from this date until March of 2024, y'all are going to be the ones that are going to participate in this reentry, not simulation, but this reentry week. Yeah. Because they're the ones that are going to really need to know, what all these resources are.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, those coordinators of all the reentry projects, they also have that same title in the prison as a reentry officer. So their whole focus from the time the inmate comes into prison until the time they leave is re-entering them into society. So they're working on getting their IDs for them, getting their driver's license. They'll work on them on job resume. Job your resumes. Anything like that. Right before they leave, they'll start, talking to them about, well, do you have children? Are you going to have to provide child support? And, they'll do some financial classes with them. So they're constantly doing things, to help them. But sometimes it's really hard when you're still locked up with 5 months left to think about everything that they're teaching you. Or, you as an adult may say, man, I already know what it's like to do a resume and not really care about it while you're, locked up. So it's always good just to, even when they get out, to still constantly provide stuff for them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not even know that. Yeah. So that was I'm glad that you even went over that, because a lot of parents and people who have loved ones, they probably didn't know that, just like I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they actually go through a process like that.
Yeah, they do.
Where they're getting prepared to go out, because the letters I'm getting from my son is like, I'm just going to be thrown out there.
Yeah.
I need you to call this person. I need you to do this. I need you to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. And it could be, because again, he's
panicking.
Having to sit in a class and to learn about all of it. But I was told one time when I went into a class, I was telling my instructor, I was learning how to teach CPR to be an instructor. And I told him, I was like, I'm just not getting it. Like, it is just not coming. And he said, well, you have to remember that your brain is like a funnel. And he said, you can only process so much information at a time. So when these people are sitting in a boring classroom and their information overload, they're probably not giving their full focus to the reentry officer. And then when they go back, to their rack, then all of a sudden it just that funnel starts trickling out. It's like, oh my, they told me I needed to do this. So that's,
and us being on the outside, my brain works like this. Man, all you got is time on your hands. Why are you overwhelmed?
Yeah.
That's all you got to think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but that's the different perspective.
Yeah.
That's overwhelming too.
But, because
getting on, and things are so much different now than 20 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also have to think, when a person, I don't know this for anything other than just my thought, but, if a person's been incarcerated for 20 years, they probably have had nothing but time on their hands.
Yes.
So now that they're really having to do something besides just, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, it really can become very overwhelming to them. Because, I mean, that right there could be a trigger in itself of, oh my gosh, that means that this time next year, I'm going to be doing this all by myself. And,
I mean, it's kind of scary, because I know he's afraid. And he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do, where I'm going to land, what about a job? I'm starting from scratch. I have nothing.
Yep.
We're afraid because we're like, I mean, okay, let me just be totally honest. We're doing this live, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna say what people don't say. I'm gonna say what families don't say. We don't know our family member who's been locked up for 20 years.
Yeah.
We don't know what violence he's seen.
Yeah.
We don't know what things he's been through in prison. So we don't know who's coming back to us.
That's right.
So we're, on the one hand, we love you, we want to see you. But on the other hand, we're hesitant. We're scared. We're not afraid. We are scared. We are scared. Because we live in an age where kids kill their parents and their whole families at the drop of a hat for no reason.
Yep.
People go off and they say they don't like living no more, and they kill their granny, their mama, their daddy, and everything. So when you have somebody who's coming back to you that you haven't seen for 20 years, literally have not laid eyes on, would not let you come visit them, and then they're shipped off where you can't see them, and they're coming out. and you're opening up your home and you're saying, come back. It's a scary
Yeah.
situation on both ends. So
Yep.
I'm saying what people don't ever say. I'm telling the truth about it. And if people would be honest, that's what brings in attention.
That's right.
So these things like this simulator, it teaches us. It doesn't answer all questions,
Right. No,
but it
no,
gives us some tools.
it does. That I can 100% vouch for.
It gives us some tools, and it also gives us some, not they say,
Right.
but some real resources.
Yep.
And in this simulator environment, we may even make friends with
My husband,
other
my
people.
husband 100% will vouch for that.
Yeah.
He definitely found himself in a new comfort level around people
Yes,
because of the
we may
simulator.
even make friends, we
Yeah.
may even make connections, and you may find that one that you can call
Absolutely.
when everything is going crazy. And I remember Sergeant so and so
Yep.
or Lieutenant so and so from the simulator. I don't want the police involved. I
Right.
don't know what to do.
Yep.
Let me give them a call, and they will meet you and talk to you.
Right.
And I'm sorry, Texarkana folks is some praying folks and some God fearing folks, and they will get with you and pray with you and hug on
That's
you
right.
and love on you and say, come on, we gonna fix this.
Yep.
Even if it takes bringing in the police, we
That's
gonna
right.
fix
That's
this.
right. That's
So
right.
so I have over the past few months met some real cool people.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I talk too much, but I just want folks to know that this is a good thing.
I agree. I believe it. I believe it. I really do.
So I'm gonna let you close us out.
Awesome.
Anything else you
No,
got to say?
I'm good. I just appreciate the opportunity to come and talk, and really look forward to talking to anybody that might have questions or wants to participate.
Okay. Y'all, I'm so sorry. I want to apologize up front. I did not open up the comment section. But this is the first show. This is the first show that I've done in a few months. So please forgive me. Y'all know it is not a Destination Mountaintop show without one blooper. And,
I was looking at my little chat and I saw that there was no chat, but
okay.
I can definitely chime in if I see any.
Hey, but usually on Destination Mountaintop, people just listen for some reason with
Awesome.
with the things we talk about.
Yeah,
People don't really get in the chat, but you'll start seeing the views, the views, the
absolutely.
views, the views, and people start looking, and those looks let me know that we've touched that heart.
Absolutely.
So this is not a platform for
Yeah.
hooray. This is a platform for education.
Yeah.
So that's what we're looking for, to see that, oh, you saw us. Okay. But
Absolutely.
you guys, I'm sorry I didn't open up the chat. I do apologize. And that may be why you don't see anything.
It's all good.
I thank you, Miss DeAnna, for
Thank you.
bringing this. And this is just part one, you guys. We're going to come back with part two and then part three before the simulator starts. I thank you. I strongly believe in this, and I'm glad that you accepted my invitation
Yes,
to
ma'am.
be my first guest in my reentry
Awesome.
with your
Awesome.
reentry. As always, you guys, faith, belief for emotion. I may be back tomorrow with a pop up for a rally that's gonna be happening tomorrow. I'm not sure, but I may be back with a pop up interview, but we'll see. But anyway, faith, belief, forward motion. Enjoy your weekend, and we love you. God bless you. Bye bye.
We'll see you.